buckle up, because it's gonna be a long ride. It's gonna be a wild ride. Nobody cares, but we're gonna tell you anyways. This is Popcorn Chats. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Popcorn Chats. I'm MICHAE.
And I'm Katie.
And we are back with our continuing Game of Thrones coverage as we are leading up to the premiere of House of the Dragon, HBO's newest Game of Thrones show that is premiering in August. So we have been breaking down season by season. Leading up to it, we did season 5 for this week. Arguably, I think one of the best seasons. Like, at least one of the best that we've watched so far. This season was just kick-ass through and through, and I can't wait to talk about it with you.
Same. I'm very excited. This was a down bad season for several of our characters. It's also like one of the first seasons where people start to like converge, like storylines start converging. So that's super satisfying. I can't wait to get into it with you.
It's gonna be so good. But first, we must check in.
I'm gonna initially address the elephant in the room that I look like an actual ball sack. It's really hot here. I don't have AC. We've gone over this before. I'm on my period, so it's just a really fucking bad week to have a uterus for me. But otherwise, I'm good, dude. I'm really fucking happy just in my life. Despite everything that's like going on in the world, I'm very privileged. I'm going to the beach this weekend with my girlfriend and her family, so
that'll be so fun.
I'm very excited about that.
Don't eat chicken this time if they bring you something with chicken.
God damn it. That was such a horrible, horrible experience. I was so nervous for that, and then the worst thing that could have possibly happened fucking happened. I am nervous about this trip, but I think it'll be okay. Other than that, I don't really think I have much to like check in on. I'm with Cooper today, so he might make an appearance. Cooper, the puppy that I nanny.
I hope he does.
He's doing nap time right now. He is deep in a slumber, but if he stirs, he may make an appearance on this episode today.
That is the best kind of nanny to be, a dog nanny.
Truly is, like, aside from filmmaking, what I was born to do.
100%. Your parents' new puppy is so fucking cute.
Yep, my parents got a new dog. They thought that our current dog needed a sister, so they got another golden retriever, just in case people didn't know that we are white and upper middle class. Now they can be absolutely certain that we are, because we have not one but 2 golden retrievers. We've had 3 golden retrievers now within my 25 years on this planet.
It is like the dog of wealthy white people.
Yeah. They posted all over Facebook that her name was Lucy, and then my mom texted the other day and was like, there's another name change. It's gonna be Ruby now. So
I thought it was Lulu.
Yeah, I thought it was Lucy for a while. Now it's Ruby again. It was originally Ruby, then it went to Lucy, now it's Ruby. So I don't know. But good, yeah, cute. Congrats to them. How are you? What's new in your life?
Not much is new, except, becoming second-class citizens. It's an everyone problem. And the fact that, there were people that were, so sick to be celebrating, or, that they were celebrating this, historic event and seeing it as cause for celebration. Seeing women celebrate it especially, I'm like, how brainwashed are you that you're literally celebrating getting your rights taken away? Fuck you.
Yeah.
On Friday, I was just, on and off, just, so upset all day, because it was just, you don't even know how to feel. I mean, I know how I felt. I was, very, hopeless on Friday. I think a lot of people were. How much horrible news can we just, continue waking up to every single day in this fucking country? It's just so maddening. That kind of put me in a funk all weekend. I was just, so on Friday, I was so I'm just supposed to, work today. I'm just supposed to, go about my everyday life. I don't get how I'm just supposed to, get up and do these things. Obviously, I know, podcasts and, forms of entertainment, and, Game of Thrones, they're, a sense of escape from reality, so I don't want to, bog this down with, too much seriousness. I kind of felt the same way, on my book Instagram of being, what line do I, because, that Instagram is for, my place for, books, and I was do I bring real world over to it? But, I have before, and on Friday, I was fuck everyone. I was hoping to get an angry DM, because I wanted to, fight with someone. No one did. Thank God. Everyone was yeah, fuck this. Because it's all women over there. Just know that if you're out there, and you're also very angry and upset and feeling like second class and all of the above. I am too. And this was not the season of Game of Thrones to be watching, because I literally watched the episode where Sansa gets married to Ramsay on Friday, and I was like, this is just a day against women.
Yeah, for real. No, but I really very much respect you utilizing your platform on your book Instagram to like speak up about stuff, and you've been like very vocal. I just feel like I come from such a place of privilege. I live in California, so even if like Roe v. Wade has been overturned now, and my chances of being pregnant are obviously like very low because I'm gay, but also when I was in a straight practice, like straight relationship, I had access to a free birth control. And so I will always and have always like come from a place of privilege when it comes to this issue. But I'm starting to like realize, just because I live in California, like we need to fight for the women who live in like the deep south, and the women who like live in Wisconsin, where abortion's now going to be a lot more difficult, and like Iowa. Like I have friends all over the US, and it's not even limited to just people I know. It's just everybody should have the right to do whatever they want with their own body. And like Republicans have been saying that they're going to do this for decades now, and they finally have done it. And I'm not on here to be like, vote blue no matter who, because I feel like Democrats are equally to blame for this happening, and they're using it already as like an election motivator. It's like, why am I voting for you election after election? And now they're talking about gay marriage might no longer be the law of the land, and fucking Lawrence v. Texas, which literally protects our privacy in the bedroom. Like like these are the things that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is talking about, what he wants to bring up next. The Roe v. Wade thing is already horrible enough. I don't know. We just need to keep fighting and keep talking about it.
And did you see that senator like openly quote tweet Barack Obama about Brown versus Board of Education?
I did see something about that. That was insane.
Just with his full chest, like, let's bring back segregation.
Everything is just so ass backwards. It's crazy. It's giving dystopia, for real.
Honestly, it's fucking insane. And that's the thing with the Democrats. It's like, okay, do something. That they act like they were just a shock. Biden was tweeting like he wasn't the fucking president. And I'm like, you're literally the people in power. Like, why are you tweeting at us being like, we need your help? I'm like, we already put you in that office. You do something with it now. Right. And why are you being like, this is horrible? And it's like, well, look who actually can do something about it right now. Like, you're just fucking idiots, all of you. And I literally fucking hate everyone in this fucking place. And we should just let animals eat us all and just let them free roam in our country, because they are the only things worthy of this fucking place.
That's so true, dude. I was thinking about that. I almost started crying when I was looking at Cooper today, because I just love him so much. And like,
dude, now you know how I feel when I look at Dorian and Arya and I just cry. That's the love I feel.
They're just so pure and innocent. Vote animals. Vote for animals.
I vote for any animal that is all for just like wiping out the human race and just running this shit themselves. Although Dorian and Arya would need canned food cap production to stay up, so I need a few people to survive to work the lines. But besides that, wipe the rest of them out.
I'm sure they could survive.
They could learn to hunt, but you know, they really love their pate. So anyways,
oh my God,
we got a long episode ahead of us.
Yeah, so let's get into
all this bullshit aside, let's jump in. Game of Thrones, season 5. Whose turn? You did season 1, I did season 2, you did season 3, I did season 4. Season 5, your turn to recap.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
All right, Katie.
I get so nervous for this.
In case if this is your first episode, we give each other 1 minute alternating episodes to give a 60-second recap of Game of Thrones. Obviously, we get into like details later, but here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Set. Go.
Okay, so as I said before, this is a down bad season for multiple girlies. First, we have Cersei. She gets this bright idea to militarize the religious fanatic group, the Sparrows. I don't fucking know what they're called. But that ends up biting her in the motherfucking ass, because she has to go be in religion jail because she fucked her brother and her cousin. Marjorie's also in religion jail, and so is her brother Sir Loras, because he is a pillow biter according to his grandma, and Marjorie lied to protect him. So she's also in religion jail. Tommen is king, and he's fucking boss. She's not doing anything to help his people out. Sansa is being traded like a bargaining chip. Peter Baelish, bitch ass, gives her to Ramsay, the most awful, rapist, horrible person ever. So Sansa's really struggling. Down bad.
Once again, you got basically one storyline covered. Just ignore the rest.
Wow. You know, I stopped listening to Popcorn Chats. I haven't been listening recently because I just like whatever. But I started like listening again just to hear how I sound. And I'm like, will this bitch ever just shut the fuck up? Like, I just go on and on and on. And I'm surprised that you're never like, we get it. Let's move on.
I don't think you go on and on and on.
Maybe I just hate myself.
I was gonna say, I think that's it, that we just like fucking hate ourselves. But at the same time, we also think we're the two greatest gifts to the world. So I think we just have an interesting balance.
Lately, I have not been feeling like I'm the greatest gift to the world. I feel like I don't know what I think anymore. I feel neutral about me. I feel like I'm just here trying to survive.
You know what I realized the other day? I saw my side profile and I was like, fuck, I really hate my side profile. And I was like, wait, do I hate my nose? And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, I really fucking hate my nose. And I was like, why have I never noticed that before? And I'm like, I think because I've always hated my body first. And I'm like, I finally just paid attention to my face for the first time. And I'm like, wait, that shit is low-key butch.
No, dude.
It was just and it was in the car too. It was just like a funny realization I had where I was like, oh my God. Love that for me. New revelation of 2022 for me.
I look like someone's drunk stepdad who just got done mowing the lawn.
The mowing the lawn, that's a read.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Let's get into this, all right? Let's get into it.
Standout star?
Oh, fuck me. Can you go first?
Yeah, bitch, and you're gonna hate me, but it is Jon Snow this season, ladies and gentlemen. I fucking loved Jon this season. I thoroughly enjoyed so many of his scenes. I loved what he did with his character arc this season. Seeing him move his way up through Men's of the Night's Watch, always having opposition against him from like multiple ways, multiple people hating him within the Night's Watch, but ultimately moving his way up, winning their little election, gaining respect from his peers, bridging the gap between enemies, like former enemies, into allies, and being such a leader in battle. And then at the end of like the grief that you see him dealing with of being like, I am the first one to sacrifice Men of the Night's Watch lives for wildling lives, and how he like genuinely feels remorse about it. You know, he's not sitting there like probably Cersei would be and just being like, ah, people are people, bodies are bodies, and as long as it's not me, fucking good, like fucking cool. I loved Jon this season. I thought he was so good. Like he was my standout. I did love the Stark sisters this season. I think like I enjoyed probably watching them just as much as I enjoyed Jon, but I think Jon's character arc as a whole this season was my favorite. So that's why I ended up choosing him over Sansa and Arya.
You know, I will agree with you. Like I still have my feelings and reservations about the character of Jon Snow, but I think one of my favorite storylines of this season, and if you've listened to these recap episodes before, we typically go like section by section and like storyline by storyline and kind of break things down. And we've talked about before that the Wall stuff is typically on the low end of our list of like favorite things to be watching, but this season is very interesting. That's because like Sansa is back in the North. I don't really know if I have a standout star this season. It's because everyone like was equally compelling to me this season, like the people that are really the central focus. It truly is like a transition period for so many characters. Like Tyrion, his life has completely changed. He's no longer a Lannister. Watching him is super fun. Sansa returning to the North. Like Cersei being in her down bad place. Dany kind of losing herself. Like it's all very interesting. But I do really like Jon's storyline this season, and Sam within that too. I guess if I had to choose, I would say my standout star is either Sansa or Tyrion. Just because, Tyrion has been my standout star several times, and it's just because I love his character. And then Sansa, I feel like this is the biggest transition season for her. Like, she...
Agreed.
Especially once she leaves Peter Baelish, or Baelish leaves her, like, she really is in that final stage of becoming, like, who she eventually ends up being.
I just loved how much more screen time Sansa got this season, that even though it is like horrible things, I felt like she had more moments of her own where she wasn't just like reacting off of other people, but it was more like her herself. She had a storyline centered around her, which was, I mean, even though it was horrible, and we'll get into all the shit that she goes through this season, but I think like Sophie Turner just really shined this season as Sansa.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and we get to see her make decisions too for the first time. Like, a lot of stuff at King's Landing, or even just like her plot movements, were very much influenced, like you said, by other characters and what she had to do. And now, even though she's like a captive yet again, she has more autonomy over herself. And even before she gets to the Boltons, like, she's making decisions on the road about her life and kind of taking control over not just her life, but like the Stark dynasty as well, because as far as she knows, like, she's the last living member of her family.
Standout scene. Mine, I want to talk about the episode as a whole. There were so many fucking great episodes, so many epic moments in this season too, that I did not realize how many huge events happen in the 2 final episodes. Like, I was thinking about like all these massive moments in the show, and I didn't realize that so many of them happen literally over the course of 2 hours of television, which is just wild.
Mm-hmm.
But Battle of Hardhome episode, it gives me so many fucking chills every time I see it. And that's when Jon and his group of men are rowing away at the end of the battle, and the Night King like finally makes his full appearance. We have not really seen like this night. We've seen this Night King kind of, but like not really seen him like fully embodied, you know, like walking out on a field, you know? And seeing him walk out and seeing him raise all of the dead like that. It's just so good. And his power pose as he does it, and just him glaring at Jon, and just the horror on Jon's face and Tormund's face and all of these men watching him single-handedly raise every single person that had died there and to become a part of his army. Oh, it's so good. So, and such a turning point again for the show. Like, that scene is huge, knowing that that's how they can just keep on gathering more troops and more troops. Any battle he faces often, he's got so many more troops after.
It truly is like a turning point for the entire series, and a refocusing of like who the true enemy is after all this like drama that's been going on with Cersei. And that episode in general, I think is like some of the strongest Game of Thrones writing ever. I think it's such
so
a well-written episode. The storytelling is so good. The battle sequences are so awesome to watch. I love that episode.
Yeah, I want to talk about that episode more as we get into it, but that was just like my one standout moment from it.
My standout scene was the second to last episode when Dany and Missandei kind of like find each other when the son of the Harpy commit their terrorist attack on the little fighting pit. I just love moments with like unspoken finding each other moments. I don't know how else to describe this, but like one of my favorite scenes of all time, like in cinema, is when Harry, Ron, and Hermione find each other in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. They all like grab hands and leave together because it's just like, this is my person, I need it. And so like just that moment, it gives me so much chills when Dany is like being protected by Jorah and Dario, but she's like, where is Missandei, and like grabs her. And also Tyrion like saving Missandei. I love Tyrion. There's
Tyrion
so much.
is our king on this podcast. We know he does not end up being the king, but he is our king.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, Bran is not my king.
Is he even on the show anymore? I did not miss him one single bit this whole season.
No. Was he in this season at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think he was.
But also, I don't know and I don't care.
Don't care.
I didn't even realize he was not in it until like the second to last episode when I was filling out my notes for that episode, and I was like, wait, like I don't think I have anything on Bran, which I like never do. I always forget him. So I was like, oh shit, like did he have anything? And I was like, I don't think he did. The show was not lacking for it, you know? No one needs him.
No. But yeah, and then like when Drogo or Drogon or the dragon comes and saves the day, and it's kind of like a symbol of Dany finding herself again after kind of being like lost this season. The return of Jorah and then the return of that dragon, I think, is very like symbolic of her like next phase of evolution as a queen. That whole sequence of events when the Son of the Harpy attack is like one of my favorites of the whole season.
So good. I think that is the best moment from Dany, because otherwise I did not really like Dany this season, and I want to talk about that. So we kind of go over each season, some introductions that we got. So if I missed anyone, let me know, but I'm pretty sure this season the only like real new characters that we got introduced to were like the High Sparrows, which are like the crazy religious group that have kind of taken over King's Landing, and the Night. I mean, like, I know we saw the Night King turn that one baby at that one point. Like, that was him, right? It wasn't like one of his other Night Kings, or like one of the other.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Thought it was him, but this is like, I feel like his first like big introduction in this season.
Right.
So those were kind of our two. Am I missing anyone?
Oberon's daughters.
Oh,
those three girls. I mean, they're not super important. I really like the girl that uses the whip as her weapon of choice. I just think that's really a boss-ass fucking weapon of choice.
I really love all their interactions with Bronn, too. I just fucking love Bronn. But any thoughts on any of those new folks that we got introduced to, just kind of?
I fucking hate the Sparrow dude. He has such a punchable face. He pisses me the fuck off. And it's very timely for everything going on. Keep your fucking religious shit out of politics. And Cersei, fuck you, you dumbass hoe, for militarizing them. It's like the same fucking shit. There's separation of church and state for a reason. You can't just empower these religious fanatic people. They're not thinking clearly.
Yeah. And now that there is no separation between church and state, make them pay fucking taxes. I'm not a part of your book club, so I don't have to follow what your little book says on TikTok. And I'm like, that's so true. Anyways, I love the challenge that I guess they present this season, because otherwise I kind of think like the Cersei and Marjorie feud, like where would we have kind of gone without a third party coming into the mix? Because you could have gone back and forth with Tommen, but I feel like he's way too passive to make him into like a chip between the two of them to kind of pass back and forth. So I do actually kind of like that we did get a third party that's equally as, I guess, powerful. And obviously I just think the Night King's fucking cool. So I love seeing him. I mean, obviously he's a scary ass dude and I would never want to cross paths with him.
I think that moment really establishes him as like the resurrector threat that he poses Jon, and then I think his character is really important in like unifying the wildlings and the Night's Watch.
Yep, because I think now they're gonna all have seen, like, the men's of the Night's Watch. So then when Jon gets back and they're all pissed at him, I'm like, if you would have seen what they just all saw, you would not give a fuck about what Jon ordered. You would be so scared.
Yeah.
Truly traumatizing. Hi!
This show just has so many like real life attributes, like the just how frustrating it is watching Jon try to like get all these people unified and like on board with each other, and it's like this threat is real and you all just need to put your pride aside and like prejudice about this group of people aside and work together to like survive, because the more divided we are, like, how are we gonna come together and defeat this common enemy? So it's why I love this show so much, because I can like relate it to our real lives, though it's so like fantastical at the same time.
It is.
I just really wish there was like an administrative office I could go to or like email or write to and be like, can I opt out of periods? Because I don't really need one anymore, because I don't plan on having children, and I'm not scared of getting pregnant, so.
Yeah, you never have to worry about having a pregnancy scare anymore. Okay, we are like almost an hour into recording and we have not even gotten into storylines, but first, this is just the first season of some crossovers, some big crossovers that we've gotten. So we got Tyrion and Dany meeting for the first time. We got Sansa and Theon/Ramsay. So Sansa and Ramsay are a crossover for the first time, but Sansa and Theon are our first like kind of big reunion we've had. I mean, yeah, we had like Jaime and Cersei, but that was seasons ago. Any thoughts about that quick before we jump into deaths?
Yeah, not really. Also, Brienne and Sansa.
True. And then we had what I would say are like 4 most notable deaths of the season. Again, if I missed anyone, let me know. But we had Sir Barristan, R.I.P. R.I.P. Sir Barristan. Really liked your death, actually. Then we have Shireen.
Fucking botched beyond
so
belief.
Botched. Marcella, not really like a huge death to us because like is her character that important to us? No, not really. But like in her moment, you know, her death is like notable, you know?
Yeah, I think that moment is done really well to like make us feel
something for her.
Something, yeah, for her and like Jaime.
And then finally we have Stannis. Bye. And then, you know, we're left on I guess Jon technically does die. He dies at the end of this season, but then he is resurrected in season 6, so I don't really count him. But those were kind of like our 4 big notable deaths this season. Did I miss anyone? I am keeping track of all the deaths, so that way in our season 8 we can round out all of our fallen. Okay, who do you want to start with? Where shall we start?
I have Cersei and like King's Landing in general first on my notes, if you want to start there. The season starts with a flashback to Cersei as a child, and it just kind of shows us how she's always been crazy from the jump. And this season also really establishes her love for her children. I think it's hard to know where Cersei stands, and she is like undeniably an evil person who does evil things. But if her love for her children was ever in question, this season kind of puts those questions to rest. Like, she will do literally anything for them, which is why I think also Marcella's death hits a little bit harder, because we see that after she walks naked through the streets just to get back to Tommen. And then we see or does Marcella die before that?
No, she dies before that.
Okay. But still, it's like she doesn't even know. It's just crazy. I think I do like Cersei's story in this season, because it's weird how it makes you root for her a little bit to see her like beaten down in this way.
Yeah, because at first you're like, oh, when she gets the Tyrells, and then when she's in there and she's trying to be like, this is an outrage, it's like, fuck you. Everyone knows that you set this up, and even like the Tyrells know that you set them up. So like, who are you acting for in this situation? And it's so hard because as much as you want to like hate her, again, you have to applaud her mind. Like, she's incredibly brilliant, and her manipulation knows no bounds. So seeing her put this plan into place to get Marjorie and why can't I remember, Loras into the dungeon is like, it's such a blow to you, especially like I feel like for you and I, Katie, because we love Marjorie so much. So to see Marjorie down there, oof, rough. But then you see her cockiness, which is always going to be her downfall. She has this arrogance that she can never be bested, and that she's a Lannister, and that she will always come out on top. And you see that when she's like, I'll go talk to the High Sparrow because it's beneath you, Tommen, like, let me do it. And then you see her get her shit rocked because she thought that she was untouchable. You can't create this beast and then not have it bite you.
Yeah, definitely. She did definitely get a little too cocky and feeling like she is untouchable. And I don't think she knew enough about this High Sparrow guy before she like militarized him and gave him so much power. It's just like a bad situation because Tommen is so young and so spineless, and her manipulative tactics kind of backfire. Trad, Cersei.
Also, we have the shame. Ding, ding, ding. Shame.
Yeah.
That scene.
The atonement. It's hard to watch. Like, it's one of those scenes where it's like, what the fuck was the filming of this like? Like, what did this look like? The actress who plays Cersei, just where she had to go in order to film some of these scenes, I can't even imagine. She's really giving, like, Anne Hathaway in fucking Les Mis with her, like, haircut and her just, like, crying walking through the streets. Tits out. Punani out, total rock bottom for this character, truly. And it's like, I don't like it. Like, I'm not like, hell yeah, Cersei, get your shit rocked, you know?
It's like, again, kind of what we were talking about with Theon a few episodes back when we were covering maybe like season 3 or season 4, when we're like, we fucking hate Theon. But then it's like, do we want to see him tortured by Ramsay? No. Like, we don't want to actually see that. And I feel the same way with Cersei in this season. Like, we want to see her get her shit rocked, but not like this. Like, this is horrible to watch her go through.
Yeah, we want to see her get, I guess, like, what she deserves, but also it's like, who these religious people thinking that they, like, know what people deserve and think that they can, like, dole out these punishments like this. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it. Yeah, this show is so good at, like, making you root for people that you were rooting against, or vice versa. It's so complex emotionally, but just to really, like, see the state that her feet are in by the time she gets to the castle, and the way she just, like, breaks down crying, it is full, like, vulnerability that we, the audience, get to see her in. And then, I don't know, it's just a very powerful sequence. And yeah, the fucking nun, biggest flop of the season. One of the biggest flops of the season. I have a flop list, and she definitely, she made the list of
She
flops.
made the list. Yeah, I don't remember how Cersei gets her revenge. I just remember that she does get her. Is she blown up in this Baylor, or is it different?
She's tortured.
Okay. Anyways, can't wait to see that. Get your shit rocked. Also, just the last part about Cersei's whole walk that I think was like the first moment where it's like, oh shit, was seeing all of her hair get cut off. Because I do just think like that like hits so, I think, I don't know why that like affected me the most, but I think like hair feels like a security blanket for many women. Like I know I do. Like if I had all of my hair just like shorn to my scalp like that, I would just feel so much, like even fully clothed right now, if I had my hair shorn, I would feel so much more vulnerable than I do, because there is just like that sense of like your hair. I don't know. I know it's just like as trivial as hair, but I think in that moment, like watching her get stripped away from her, like it did something to me.
Yeah, I think the way they have it like kind of covering her body too before they start to cut it off, and then they like take it all off and you can like fully see her like boobs and everything, like she can't hide anymore, and then it's like you think it can't get any worse, and then they like take her little burlap sack off in front of everybody. It's just like you don't want to see anybody in that position, and it's like Cersei's arguably one of the most hated characters up until this point. So it's like, why am I feeling compassion and empathy and sympathy for this evil person?
Well, actually, I think if Ramsay would have had to do that walk, I would feel joy. I don't think I would feel any sort of empathy towards him. Where with Cersei, she's morally gray, leaning more towards like evilness a lot of the time, where Ramsay is just, he's not even morally gray. He's just a straight up evil. So I would love to see him get his atonement walk and see that little nun with her bell. Shame. Behind him.
Just like religious, you know, people condemning other people, or people being like, you're a sinner. It's like, bitch, that doesn't sit well with me, especially right now with everything, but it never has sat well with me. That's why I hate that old dude.
And I think, the people of the town, I don't even think gave a fuck that she fucked her brother or cousin. I think all that they cared about was that they've just hated her for so long, and that she has mistreated them for so long, that she was like, I think, like, they were like, hell yeah, this is our moment now to finally, like, show our open distaste when, like, she can't do anything about it. So I do think that it was, like, a purging for a lot of them, which, I mean, you know.
I guess get your licks in way to hit somebody while they're down. But it was weird that some people felt compelled to wiggle their dicks around. Like, men, just please stop. I would like to send a cease and desist to all men.
Next time you think about that, just don't.
Put your dick away.
You think that you're so much better. You just wait. One of these religious high sparrow men are going to turn around and be like, oh, open nudity. That's not okay. Shame.
Yeah, your body is supposed to be a temple for the Lord of Light or whatever. I can't even keep track of who's worshiping who.
I don't think they worship Lord of Light, do they?
No, they're like the
like blood
seven. Yeah, girl, I don't know. We got the many-faced God, the Lord of Light, and then whatever the fuck these like sparrows are worshiping. I think it's like the seven. I feel like they're Christianity.
No. I can't keep all their book clubs straight, so.
It's like pivoting, but it is still part of Cersei's storyline. I would have really liked to see Marcella and the Dorne guy get married and like try to solve the rift between their families. I just really like that storyline. I think it would have been cool to like have them come over to Westeros, and I'm kind of pissed at Oberon's wife. Like, she also made my flop list this season because it's like that was a good arrangement. arrangement, and now you're just like starting a war for what?
Yeah. Your husband chose to be a fighter. Like, he chose that. It wasn't like he was wrongly convicted on a trial and like had to fight for his life. Like, he literally chose to do so. And it was like, yeah, obviously shitty, but I don't know. I do think that she was kind of a flop. And yeah, it was a bummer to see that happen, because I do think that would have been an interesting storyline down the road. And I liked just seeing people genuinely like each other on this show and like want to be married to each other because they actually like each other, not because it's like for some political gain or arranged marriage.
Also, before Cersei gets thrown into religion prison, her conversation with Littlefinger and just like that whole situation where he's asking to become Warden of the North. I just love those like political conversations where both parties kind of have something on the other. It's just, I liked that scene as well. I wanted to note that.
Fucking hate you, Littlefinger.
It's also crazy that Marcella's just like, I'm glad you're my dad, uncle.
Oh, what? What was that? Yeah, I did love that scene between the two of them. And like you said, I think the writers made us care for like a quick like they had to have a heartfelt moment before she died. Because if like all of a sudden he just walked down to the cabin and she was choking, you know, like that wouldn't have done anything for us. But they had like this emotional moment between the two of them. And it was like kind of cute. But then when you think about it, like she's genuinely saying like, yeah, I'm totally fine that my mom and her brother created me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's still pretty young. And I don't know if she has a full understanding of the situation that they like fucked each other. I think she's more just like, I'm glad that you're my dad. Like, I like you as a person and it's cool that you're my dad.
We'll frame it that way to save her memory. So then should we transition into Jaime and Bronn, since we were there with Marcella?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of notes on them just because I kind of had them like
lumped in. I just, once again, how much I love like the Bronn and Jaime pairing. Actually, like I think that that's cool, and I liked their whole when they like dressed up as guards and snuck in, you know. I just thought that was funny, and I just like the two of them. They're both kind of like the two comedic relief characters. Since seeing them go on a mission together was just fun. And then I loved Bronn down in the prison, how he's just always got to come onto women literally everywhere he is, and now he tries to get with the Martell woman. And I would love if him and the one Martell daughter would have actually gotten together. Like that.
I know.
Hot.
I know.
The sexual
I feel
tension
like
was there.
They should end up together.
Yeah, that was all that I had on Bronn and Jaime.
My next notes are on Dany.
Let's jump into Dany, because yeah, then we got Tyrion going into, so we got Lannister to Lannister to Targaryen. We're starting to see these threads like coming together more and more, like a natural transition between storylines. So
yeah, it's awesome. The idol like crashing down to introduce her this season. I feel like Dany's intros are always super cool at the beginning of every season and very telling of like how her story is gonna go. So she's faced with like having to kind of for the first time deal with the fallout of like ending slavery and like ruling a city or like reconstructing a city, because so far she's just like liberated these cities and then moved on, and she hasn't really done the hard work of re-establishing democracy, or like, I mean, I guess it's not democracy because it's a monarchy, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you can't just liberate these people and then move on, because then you just completely dismantled their corrupt and like problematic society, but you dismantled their like way of life. And so you can't just do that and move on. Like, you got to do the hard work of fixing the problem. The fighting pits, I don't like it. I don't like her confliction with all of that, but I do really like her and Dario's relationship and him like challenging her.
Dany, get it.
Yeah.
Get it. He is so fine.
So I do really like their relationship this season.
I did not love watching Dany this season. I love the final episodes with the Kings of the Harpy, and I loved that final moment with like Drogon and everything. But I think overall, this is, I think, where obviously, once again, you cannot argue that her madness came out of nowhere. Did you see her this season? Anyone? Okay. Just because you don't like how it ends in a total, you can't say that you didn't see that shit coming. Because look at her this season. She is a cold person, and when she does that thing with the people that she takes and then takes them down to the dragons and has them all like kneel and then shoves one forward, I'm like, so you're really telling me that you never thought that she might go mad and like kill a bunch of people. But I just think she lacked any sense of warmth and vulnerability that she used to have in the other seasons that like made her likable. And I'm not even saying that you have to be vulnerable as a woman to be a likable character, because like there are very strong characters like Brienne, who is a very strong woman and really doesn't have much of a vulnerability for a lot that we see, but she still has like an openness to her and a warmth to her that Dany just completely lacked this season, where she's always had before. And I don't remember on my first watch ever not liking her, but this season I was really kind of like, I just was not feeling her. I think without Jorah, without her dragons, with her taking charge of this city and seeing the way that she kind of was a leader, I didn't like it. I didn't like her. I didn't really like her this season as much. And then I obviously, like the last 2 episodes, for me, I needed to kind of like bring me back to her, because by the end of the season, I'm back loving her. But over the course of it, it was kind of the first time on the rewatch where a previous character that I've absolutely loved, for the first time, I was kind of like, I don't know if I really like you that much right now.
100% agree with you. And I think like last season and this season for Dany, it's been, you know, like the first couple of seasons, it's like she's the underdog and coming from nothing, and just like having these lucky successes. But now it's not like her luck has run out, but she's definitely like meeting challenges and kind of facing the reality of ruling, and like not the consequences, but like like I said, the fallout of liberating these people and completely like changing long-standing systems. I think, you know, watching her sentence that one former slave that she had on her council to death, like that was I think a bad decision. And it's like, why are you still letting there be a class system? Like, it's just like, and then in last season when there was that one guy who wanted to continue like working for the family that he had always been a part of, it's like things are a lot more complicated than just like being this bad bitch who like liberates everybody with your dragons.
I think it kind of showed how unprepared she is as a leader, that even though she has this birthright and that she obviously is incredibly strong and has these dragons and obviously can rally people around her, it takes a lot more than that to be a leader. You need some level of political savviness that she kind of lacked this season, and obviously I think she does gain, but you see, especially with Ser Jorah gone, that she's lost one of her most trusted advisors, and you kind of see how much of a role he really did have in her political party, I guess. That execution scene was so, I'm like, you are making a huge mistake. And as soon as they're like yelling at you, Misa, like this term of endearment that they gave you because you liberated them, and then now they're like begging you like, hey, cut this guy a break, and you think like, oh, I can't let them undermine me, which is fair, like you can't do that. But I think when you're so newly established in this, you have to like think twice about that. It's a difference than like Ned Stark beheading a man from the Night's Watch that was a deserter, when he has been a leader for years and like it's an established stable empire, I guess, that the North is, versus Dany, who has like a baby city on her shoulders that she just barely overturned. Like, it's not stable enough for you to already be making these grand gestures against this group of people that you're now trying to gain the respect of and lead.
They have that conversation too with like the reopening of the fighting pits and excuse the sirens. That whole conversation of justice and who deserves to live and who deserves to die and like what justifies death and all this stuff. Dany is so against the fighting pits because it's like people dying unnecessarily, but then she beheads this former slave because he killed like a killer. He killed somebody that was like a criminal. I think a lot of this season is like justice being delivered in certain ways, and it's just like uncomfortable when this justice I say in quotes, is doled out, because it's like, what does one man's opinion, like, why does that override all these other factors into it? And like Dany's pursuit of justice is kind of what ends up biting her in the ass at the end, and being her like Achilles heel and her failing point of like her view of justice and who deserves to live and who deserves to die being like the end all be all absolute thing. It's just kind of her biggest flaw. And I like that she has that conversation with Sir Barristan about her dad and how she's different from him shortly before he is killed. And I think that's also foreshadowing of like, without him to remind her, like, don't be like your father. Because now that Sir Barristan is dead, no one who was witness to the Mad King is going to be there to advise her. So
I think the first time I watched this, I just saw Dany through a lens where I was like, she is like perfect. Not like perfect in general, but I just like, I didn't look for any flaws in her whatsoever. I was like, I am rooting behind her 100%. I was kind of like Ser Jorah ride or die behind her, you know, like that's how I felt in this season, just looking at her from a more like objective perspective. And it's interesting this season.
I was the same way, and I think I just wanted it to be her so bad, and I wanted her to get there, and I understood like that she was flawed, and I didn't agree with her decision to like kill that former slave and like reopen the fighting pits, all this stuff. But like the end of the season when she kind of has her like refinding of herself, and it's not like necessarily confirmed, but it's like, okay, I don't think she's gonna continue with these fighting pits, and she's got her dragon back, and she's probably gonna like get control over them again. And now the Dothraki are back into the mix, like bringing her back into her roots. I just felt like hopeful for her.
I was like almost crying at the scene when Drogon came back, and then when Dany and Drogon had that moment and she like reached out and she just had that like connection moment with him. I think because like as a mother to pets, I was like, he's come home and they're having their moment. But I just like, you see in that that's the Dany that I love. You see in that moment her like heart and how much she like loves these dragons and how much they really are her children. And it was just so good. I feel like we really needed that, and that fight sequence in episode 9 with the Kings of the Harpy. First of all, Ser Jorah coming back. I am a ride or die for Ser Jorah, so obviously I was happy that he came back. But then when he wins and shoots the spear through the harpy, once again I'm like, he just has always had Dany's back. Like, yes, he was trading secrets about her, but he was always protecting like her. He was always protecting her. He was never going to actually let anything happen to her. So obviously he needed to be faulted. He needed to be punished for that. But truly, he is a ride or die bitch whose like one and only goal in life is to serve Dany. So I'm so happy Ser Jorah is back.
I go back and forth on Jorah. He is on my flop list, but I also do love the moment when he is like fighting for her.
How did he make your flop list this season?
I think just because like it's kind of embarrassing. He like makes me cringe a little bit with like when he thinks he's being such a badass, like capturing Tyrion to bring him to where he was already planning on going anyways, and like his whole plan of I'm gonna bring her the Lannister guy and she's gonna forgive me. It's like, that's so funny that she ends up like accepting Tyrion into her council and like banishing Jorah again. Like, it's just like, you're kind of a flop. And then you also have grayscale and you're like trying to hide that, whatever. But I do really love the moment when he like spears the harpy and him and Dario kind of like looking at each other like, we're gonna save her because we're protecting her. Love that. And I do really love Jorah and his journey this season, but I also think he's kind of cringy.
I can't fault Jorah on Dany accepting Tyrion into the fold and not himself, because I think Ser Jorah is because he's obviously like he has a political mind, okay? So I think he truly is thinking of this decision from like a rational mind space of being like, if I bring her this prisoner, she like is going to then see this as like a sign of good faith, you know? Where Dany, when she sees him showing up, she's not thinking logically, she's thinking emotionally. You know, she is still obviously very hurt and betrayed by Ser Jorah. So I think they're coming at the situation looking at it from two different perspectives. So I don't think that's a flop on Jorah's part. I don't think it's a flop on Dany's part either. I just think it's like they're two different mind spaces when they're looking at this situation. I'm sorry. I can't get over the fact that he's on there with like fellow flops.
Sorry. Okay, I'll take him out. I put a question mark.
No, you leave him there. You leave him there.
I put a question mark. I put a question mark by his name because I'm like 50-50 on it, but I just feel like he has floppy tendencies. He's not necessarily a flop.
More Grey Worm and Missandei content. We really lagged on it this season, and
yes, but they They kissed, right?
Was that this season?
I thought they
Oh, was
kissed.
that after him when he's like, all I could think about was that I did not get to like see Miss Missandei. I fucking love them. I'm just very excited for them to have more screen time. They didn't really get a ton this season, so I'm looking forward to more next season with them. Obviously, I love Tyrion. I enjoyed watching him this season. He's like easily top 3 characters for me, but overall, you know, I think this was like a big kind of, this was a season for him that I feel like Sansa's had a lot in the past, where it's like more people are passing her around rather than like her making actual decisions for herself. And I feel like that was kind of Tyrion this season. He was just being like passed around, kind of like always in the hands of someone else and more reacting to other people than other people reacting to him.
It is interesting just to see him outside of like the Lannister bubble for the first time since he's been so angry at his family, but then also using his family and his name to like get him out of situations and get what he wants. It's so interesting to see him still talking his way out of everything without that gold and that name behind it. It's so cool to see that he still has that flair that makes him Tyrion.
Like when they want to cut off his dick and kill him. He's like, you can't do that. You have to show me.
Yeah, how he's like, it's a normal sized dick, not a dwarf dick. So funny. Comedic relief, but also just the Tyrion we know and love. And I'm so glad that he has gone through a lot and like transformed, and to see him still like mourning Shay, like when he goes to the brothel and he's not able to like be with another woman. Yeah, that's why I like Tyrion this season, and just how he truly, it's like his words and his persuasion that sets him apart from everyone else.
He's so smart. I love you, Tyrion. You should have been king.
Did we say all we needed to say about Marjorie?
Yeah, I'm done with Marjorie. Do you have anything?
I just liked when she called Cersei a bitch, when she's like, get out of here, you hateful bitch.
Because that's the first time we've saw like open disdain, you know? It's been like a lot of shaded insults, but that was the first time that she's ever been like, actually, fuck you.
Just like that whole trial with the Tyrells too, like the birthmark thing. Sorry to like circle back. I know you asked about this before, but he talks about Loras's birthmark and like catches Marjorie in a lie. It's just so hard to watch, and it sucks seeing them lose and they never really are on top again, which fucking sucks. But like before all that, her and Tommen, I think they're cute. Like on their wedding night, seeing her play dumb a little bit when he's like, does Queen Marjorie sound weird? And she's like, yeah, it's so strange, but it's like she's always wanted to be queen.
I want to be the queen.
Yeah,
like that was one of her first memorable lines ever.
Yeah, we know this, so it's just, I think she's happy, but also still like playing her cards and playing the game.
I forgot that they got married this season, I think, because so much shit happens that I literally forgot that they got married. But yeah, I liked it, and I liked seeing their interaction, you know, on their wedding night. Like, even when they're joking or like you said, when she's playing dumb and they're kind of just like teasing each other a little bit. It's lighthearted, and again, kind of nice, similar to Marcella and the Prince of Dorne, you know, just seeing like two people. I don't think Marjorie actually loves Tommen, but seeing just two people, like, I guess, enjoy each other's company rather than like dread it is a nice change.
On that note, do we want to move into Sansa?
Yeah, let's dive in. I have truly never felt I Snapchatted Katie this, and I was like, I have never felt a sense of dread like I felt watching Sansa ride over the hills on that horse and see the north and have Littlefinger tell her that she's going to marry Ramsay. Cause like, oh, it's so hard as an audience, cause we know what is waiting for her and she has no fucking clue what's to come. Like, obviously I think she's going into this thinking like, oh, my husband's probably gonna be garbage, but not like to the extent that he is. And just knowing how sick Ramsay is and how truly like innocent Sansa really is just, oh, it's so hard. I hate it. And also I do think that this is a situation too, you feel even more of a sense of, I don't know, dread, I guess, because we have seen Sansa like grow up on her screen. Like, she started this show as a child, and so you do almost feel like a parent watching it. I mean, like, we're not her parents, but you know, that's like the only thing that I could like make a comparison to, I guess.
Yeah, I think that truly is what sets Game of Thrones apart from so many other shows, is their ability to conjure emotion like that, just with like scene placement and music, to have that all kind of come together of, oh, this was Peter Baelish's plan all along, and oh, Lord Bolton is like, and I have just the girl to solidify our position in the north, and then cut to Sansa riding over the hill. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? After everything this girl's gone through, like, that's not even the surface level of like what she has yet to go through. It's awful. Awful, awful, awful. It's such a, I agree, like sinking pit in my stomach in that moment, realizing what's going on. And she isn't even riding in that direction thinking that she's gonna get married, because she thinks that Lord Baelish is the one who accepted a marriage proposal. So it's not until she sees Moat Cailin, she's like, wait, what are we doing? Theon is probably going insane. Just the fact that his bedroom is in the kennels and he just has to hear that barking all the time. I do love the way that the actor is playing this character. You know how he's like always twitching a little bit? It's like,
so
it's probably because he's hearing the barking, like it's like ringing in his ears all the time. Like he is never truly like at peace and resting. But the way that Sansa is able to like bring Theon back, the way that his biological sister wasn't able to, I think is very telling, that Theon is more of a Stark than he would, I think, like to admit, because he grew up with Sansa and she's the one to kind of bring him back and evoke this redemption arc that I think is pretty satisfying with Theon. It's complicated because it's like, fuck you, Theon, but also like, thank you for saving our girl Sansa.
Yeah. He plays him so well. And I think that's another thing that I've appreciated on this rewatch is I still hate Theon, but I think like the actor's ability to play this character, I think is astounding. And that's something that I didn't care the first time around because I was so focused on my loathing of this bitch that I didn't have time to like appreciate how good of a job the guy playing what is his name? Feel bad. Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever his name is, playing Theon. We need to talk about it. The choice to include a rape scene in this show, which is not uncommon in Game of Thrones. The fact that like rape is obviously, that's a known thing in the show. It's not like a secret. It's talked about frequently. Sansa has been threatened with it basically since the first season. There just is, you know, like a conversation in Hollywood and just in entertainment in general, and the inclusion of scenes like this in like a form of entertainment. And I think it's a very tricky and obviously delicate discussion because on one hand, it is a horror that too many women know. So I think like if we just don't talk about it at all, that is like, it makes them feel like they can't talk about it, or that it's not like acceptable that it's discussed. But at the same time, who needs to see it? You know, we don't need to see it. Us, Katie and I as women, we don't need to see that. We already know how that fear of that as a woman, so we don't need to see that. Men sure as fuck don't need to be seeing that. And I hate how we focus on Theon in that scene. Don't focus on the man's pain while this is happening to Sansa. I just wish we would have gotten a closed door moment with that and we would have carried on. I mean, we all can infer what happens because Ramsay's an actual psychopath. So I don't think we needed to hear Sansa and see Theon's face in that scene.
Right.
I think we could have just shut the door.
Within this world that Game of Thrones takes place in, women are second-class citizens, and that makes Dany's storyline all the more powerful, and like seeing Arya and Sansa triumph all the more powerful because women are not set up to triumph in this world. We don't need rape scenes in order for those storylines to be satisfying and fulfilling. I am in no way saying that like Sansa being raped makes her storyline more compelling or like better or more well-rounded at all, but I think it is established early on in this show that like rape and just the mistreatment of women is very prevalent in this world. Yeah, that's that. The choice to like showcase it.
It's obviously devastating just in general, but I think with Sansa, just because it's been like, it's literally been teased is not the right word, but I guess like foreshadowed since literally season 1, since she's been in the hands of Joffrey, that the things have not looked well for her. And fucking Peter Baelish, oh my god, I am so excited for season 7 to see his shit get rocked. I fucking hate you so much. And especially when you hear him talking with Lord Bolton and he's like, oh, she is a virgin, but you can have the brothel workers check her out if you really need. You are so disgusting. You're so disgusting.
Sansa's story, or just Sansa's character, like, really showcases the reality of being a woman in this world. Like, I think her disillusionment at the beginning of season 1, where she thinks because she's a lady, she's gonna live this, like, fairy tale princess life. Same with, like, Marcella, you know, how Jaime is just so shocked and happy that, like, things are actually working out for her. Like, even Cersei, you know, she's, like, this high-born, very powerful woman, but, like, she didn't want to marry King Robert, and, like, he cheated on her a lot and probably, like, had sex with her when she didn't want to. Like, even the highest of high-born women, even, like, they're still second-class citizens. They're still subject to mistreatment from men and, like, sexism and all of it. So seeing Sansa go through what she has to go through when she's this, like, powerful woman, and how people like Peter Baelish and the Boltons and the Lannisters just kind of, like, use her as this pawn in their game, and, like, to advance himself in Peter Baelish's case. It's just same with the Boltons. She's just like a bargaining chip almost, and a way to, like, elevate their status.
It is.
And it's satisfying to see her overcome that. A standout moment for me, and, like, a chills in a bad way scene for me, is when she finally is able to get to the tower, and Brienne standing vigil at her post, looking out for Sansa. I'm so happy for our girl Bree that she gets her revenge on Stannis. Go you,
yes.
Brienne.
Yes.
But also, it's like, oh shit, the fact that right at that moment she leaves. Again, it's like, it's making you feel real hard.
The only feeling that I can describe that as is devastation. Like, it is devastating to see how close that was. This is the worst blue balls the show has had, because we've talked about that before, like with Arya and the Hound just being, like, right there at the Red Wedding and all this stuff. This is by far, I think, the worst chance, or, like, missed opportunity kind of chance that we have. It's so sad. But yes,
also,
I
like,
love that Brienne gets to go and get her revenge, and I love her final, especially because it's just like, Stannis, he better be on your fucking flop list.
Oh, he's at the top. He is at the top of my flop list. I hate that man. Hated, always hated, rest in hell, bitch.
But love to see Brienne, have her moment.
And I don't really know what Brienne would have been able to do for Sansa, even if she did see that candle. I mean, I have no doubt that Brienne would have figured something out to save her, but also, like, the Boltons had this big-ass army that just took out Stannis' floppy little army.
His floppy little army. And last note, kind of with Sansa, Theon, Ramsay, just fuck you. I have no words for you. I hope your dad's kid grows up to be better than you are. But the final little encounter with the crazy girl, I completely forgot about that encounter. So then,
me too.
First of all, she's kind of a serve. Like, she's a nutcase, but she's kind of a serve, and I love watching her. And I think especially her, before Ramsay gets married to Sansa and they're having their, like, interaction and stuff, she can get it, okay? It's an equal match right there. Like, the crazy and the cruelness, it's right there. And I love when she's giving Sansa a bath, and Sansa turns around and she's like, I am Sansa Stark of Winterfell. This is my home, and you cannot scare me. I'm like, yes, bitch. Yeah. Oh, I love her so much this season, but also loved seeing that girl just fall and break her neck. It's satisfying.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first moments where Sansa's like, I will not be intimidated, and she's truly grown and learned so much about just, like, owning herself, and, like, being able to stand up for herself in that moment is so cool to see. Hi, puppies. He's just staring at me. Miranda getting pushed over by Theon, fucking trash. But I think the actor who plays Ramsay is very attractive.
He is, and that's the thing, that he doesn't look evil. Like, when you look at him, like, I think Sansa, even when she first saw him, she probably, like, breathed a sigh of relief, because she's like, okay, well, he's not, like, super old or super ugly, but he's super crazy.
Yeah.
I just had one other thought as we were talking here that I had while watching this too, the fact that Sansa returned home, and I love the maid of saying, like, that you still have friends in the north, and then when Ramsay kills her, that's obviously so devastating, but just, I can't imagine the pure feeling of, like, invasion that you would have when you're back in your home that you've lived in since you were a baby with your family, that now your whole family's gone. You think they're all dead there. And you're here with all of these strangers, all of these enemies being married off to this strange person, and it's your home, but it's not your home. And it's, like, familiar, but it's so unfamiliar, and it's your safe space, but it's unsafe. It's just gotta be such a mind fuck, that where if she would have been, like, in Marine, let's say, that she, like, this is where Ramsay had his stakehold, you know, it wouldn't have felt, I feel like, that extra sense of, like, a personal, just absolute annihilation for her. I don't know.
Yeah, that has got to be a mind fuck. I like when she discovers that John is, like, so close. I think it's like, damn, that's as close as she's been to a member of her family in a fucking minute, like, since her dad died. Then also when Theon comes forward about burning the 2 farm boys and Brandon and Rickon are still alive, it's like that hope being restored for her is really cool to see.
And I think that's why then she tries to escape. I mean, obviously, except for just, like, self-preservation, but I do think that that lights a new fire under her and, like, gives her that sense of hope again.
Right.
Cooper is, like, knocked out. Oh my god, he's so cute.
Hi, bubbies.
Material girl. Well, since we had Brienne, should we go into Stannis?
Sure. Yeah, I don't really have many notes on Stannis except that he's a huge flop, and it's just funny to watch his shit crumble this season, and the fact that his whole army was wiped out by 20 men, just the slow progression of his downfall, and the fact that he resorts to burning his child alive. You are garbage rat.
You are garbage rat. If I was his men watching that, I wouldn't trust him in the slightest.
Right, it's like,
if
what
this
do you
man
think
is willing to burn his child, his own flesh and blood, why would he give a single fuck about me?
It makes so much sense that, like, half of his people leave.
Yeah, we would have dipped.
I would have dipped a long time ago. If I'm staying in the cold, if I'm going from the wall to just, like, middle of nowhere and trying to get to Winterfell with 0 food, babe, I'm gone. I'm gone a long time ago.
And you know what? I feel like the Red Woman gets a bad rap, obviously, later. Because especially, like, with Sir Davos and stuff, and obviously the Red Woman is a huge part of this. Obviously she, like, kind of planted this idea into Stannis's head, but I feel like it's not even fully on her, because really, what allegiance does she have to Shireen? Okay, this is not her own child, this is not her own flesh and blood, it's this random kid, kind of, to her. Like, not saying that Shireen is a random kid, but to her it truly is, and she sees her as being, like, a vessel to use for her, for the Lord of Light. So I mean, obviously I don't agree with it, but I think this whole situation looks the worst on Stannis and his wife, because I'm like, ultimately that is your child, and you should have drawn the line,
Right.
Red Woman, at that, and you didn't. So, and also, I didn't like in the scene then when she's being burned that then the mom, like, rushes forward and, like, looks like she regrets it, because this mom has fucking hated Shireen since the beginning. So I'm kind of like, why? It felt odd in this moment. I could see Stannis having regrets in that moment, but not the mom. Did that seem weird to you?
I kind of liked it because it was just like, you know, I felt like that character's storyline was kind of over. Like, it'd be weird if the mom didn't kill herself. Sorry if that's like not okay to say, but I just think, you know, there is nothing comparable to a mother's love. And even though this mom was like a bitch to her own kid, and, like, I don't know, I just think all these people are mentally ill. And I don't want to be that person that's like, if you're religious, you're mentally ill, but it's like the logic isn't necessarily there if you are this extreme down the religious rabbit hole. Like, I don't think every religious person is, like, mentally unhinged, but these people who believe that burning somebody with king's blood in their veins is gonna make the snow stop falling, some synapses are not firing.
I also I remember the first time around, I guess I didn't have any sort of attachment to Shireen, because I think I was like, I truly just didn't care at all about anyone involved in Stannis' storyline. I was just like, you all suck, and I just like don't pay attention. Like, this is my phone break when you're on screen. But this time, obviously, I wasn't doing that, and I was watching like more closely. And I did actually develop like a draw towards Shireen that I didn't have the first time. So this, I feel like, was the first time watching her death where I like felt it, where I was like, oh, this is like really hard to see, because she truly is like just an innocent child in all this.
Yeah, I think it's satisfying just to watch Stannis's stuff crumble, because it honestly feels like he's been going on for too long as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So to see it all kind of unravel is satisfying. It's like hard to watch, like you said, but also it's like, thank God this shit is over. And I would have liked to see Shireen survive out of it too, but like Sir Davos making it out of that botched ass situation when he deserves so much better is like...
I love Sir Davos. I'm so happy to see him out of there. But I'm glad to see that storyline kind of retired this season.
I just have kind of like a list of random standouts. Like, I didn't feel like certain characters needed their own notes. I did like that we got Brienne's backstory a little bit in this, and how her insecurities she kind of like brought up with Podrick, and her reason for like backing Renly so hard, and how he actually genuinely was like a good person. And then that kind of tying into her justice when she kills Stannis finally.
Doesn't that make you just wish that we would have seen Renly and Marjorie together for longer?
Yeah, I wish that Renly would have lasted as long as Stannis did.
Me too.
I wish it would have been the other way around, like Stannis dies and Renly prevails. But whatever. A lot of side characters. Missandei's finally getting recognized more. I think like Daenerys is going to her for her opinion, and Missandei is like having more respect for herself as an advisor, and then like realizing that she's deserving of love with Grey Worm. And then Sam is also standing up to the members of the Night's Watch and like nominating Jon to be Lord whatever, Lord Commander, fighting for Gilly and all this stuff. I just think a lot of characters are really coming into their own. Same with like Theon, his redemption arc is kind of starting towards the end of this season. But otherwise, next I have Arya, and then we can finish her out with Jon.
Oysters, clams, and cockles.
Oysters, clams, and cockles.
I love Arya this season. I think because I love what this season brings for her in the future of being able to like take the identity of other people. And I love that scene of her in the brothel with the dude who killed oh my god, what is his name? Her teacher.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I forget his name, but her
oh my god,
sword
I
fighting
completely forgot
teacher.
his name. Yeah, her sword fighting teacher. Absolutely love seeing her do that in that moment, because I just think it's so badass, and I love badass Arya. And I think this season is just fascinating. Like, it's not a lot happens with her, I guess, but it is just, I enjoyed watching her.
I like the ending of this season for her, but at the beginning I share her frustration of like, what the fuck is going on, and like, why is she just cleaning these dead bodies? And I don't really understand the many-faced god. Even now, I don't really get it, what's going on there, but I do like this, how this like aids her journey and like what she eventually becomes.
I think because I'm thinking ahead to like Walder Frey and like what this whole storyline does for that. Oh, it just makes me so excited.
Yeah, and just like how this really influences Arya's storyline, and then like next season with her being blind and everything, she just learns so much in such a short amount of time. This is really where Arya like grows up, and it's like the next phase in her evolution. You know, she has this list of people that she wants to kill, but it's like, you got to do it in the right way and all this stuff.
And like patience.
Yeah, and just like letting go of her personhood and wanting to become no one, and her like motivations for that, but she still wants to be Arya Stark, and how she doesn't throw away Needle. But it's satisfying when she kills the fucking pervert who's like, too old. Bitch, you're too old. Simply crumble and die. I'm glad that Arya killed him in the way that she did, by stabbing out both his eyes and then cutting his throat.
Bye!
I'm gonna read my flops list really quick before we end with Jon. So number 1 is Stannis. We already talked about that. Number 2 is Tom. Oh, go ahead.
Quick, just when you're saying that also too, I remember back like earlier in the seasons when we were covering this, I asked you, I was like, do you remember how he dies? Because I was like, how do I not remember how Stannis' storyline ends? And it's because it's so fucking anticlimactic, and I think that's like so perfect for his character, that he literally just dies in the woods. Like, that's great.
And he's truly just like, God damn it.
Yep.
Like,
Great
he's
way
like,
to kill
God
him.
damn it.
He doesn't get something glorious like being beheaded or burned alive or anything. It's like, no, you just get to die in the woods.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Tommen, I think, is he's just a kid, so you can't really fault him, but he is kind of a bitch boy. Like, you're literally the king. Like, do something. Kind of feels like how Biden is like, this is wrong. Women deserve better than this. And it's like, why are you speaking like you are literally not the president of the United States right now?
That's what I'm saying.
Sir Alistair of the Night's Watch is a fucking bitch, and
She a little bitch boy.
bitter ass motherfucker. Sparrow, we don't like extreme religious individuals. They're always problematic. I didn't know that pervert dude that Arya killed's name. I just put him down as Rat Bastard. And then the other rat bastard who ratted out Loras and Marjorie. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
None. Shame none.
Yeah.
Simply remove yourself. Oberyn's wife, you're a flop. You need to get over it. I'm so sorry, but you're like ruining shit for everybody. And then it was Jorah ? And we already discussed.
Yeah.
So
also, I love Oberyn's wife when she like wipes off her lipstick on the handkerchief and throws it, and it looks like it's about to blow back on her, and I'm like, that would have been fucking funny. They should have left that in.
yeah, it looked like she was trying to put it in the water, but that just simply did not work out for her, and they just like left that in.
Okay, on to Jon and the Night's Watch. First off, I just love Sam and Jon's friendship.
Yes.
It's so pure. I love their friendship this season, and I love at the end when Jon gets back and you just see the two of them talking, and that Sam truly is just such like he's such a great friend to Jon, and Jon is also such a great friend to Sam, because Jon could have told him like, no, you really can't leave, and like made him stay. Like, he could have done that, but he didn't, because he knew that that's not like what Sam was truly meant to do. And obviously then we know Sam going to go be a maester really comes into play in like 2 seasons from now when he finds out the truth about Jon being a Targaryen. I love their friendship. They've really gone from like the two misfits of the Night's Watch to being like the two most important men that they have there. I just think they're such a pure, like a pure friendship where like really neither of them have anything to gain from the other. It's just more like they just bonded because.
Yeah, and they're both just like pure-hearted individuals and honorable individuals who just want what's right. So yeah, I totally agree. I love seeing Sam this season and his like nominating Jon, and I think it's funny too when he roasts like the little bald bitch boy that like hid during the battle when the wildlings invaded. Love that moment for Sam. I do feel like Jon deserves it for like taking charge during the like invasion of the wildlings. And Sam is just truly a G and like doing what's best for the Night's Watch. I think it's one of the most tragic pairings for me personally of Stannis and Jon together. I just hate those moments. I just don't fuck with either of you, and this is just a waste of time because Stannis is gonna die, and Stannis trying to like manipulate Jon and be like, you want to be a Stark. I like that Jon doesn't give in to that, and Sam pretty much gives Jon what he wants and what he needs by nominating him to be Lord Commander. He's able to like up his stature and then also like save the wildlings. So yeah, I think Sam really aids Jon's character, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, I think Stannis just suffocates everyone that's around him. Like, he just sucks the life out of all the scenes. So those ones with Jon, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
You are Garba's wrong.
Also, the Red Queen trying to like seduce Jon. What are you doing, lady?
Like, you are barking up the wrong tree there.
Yeah, I mean, not really, because he's into it, and she's hot, and she's a redhead, and we know he has a thing for redheads. But
that's a true point.
And then when she's like, you know nothing, Jon Snow, I was like, that was mean.
That was wild.
Don't do that.
That
to
was
him.
mean.
He's vulnerable.
Wait, what the fuck? Melisandre.
Yeah.
I said Melisandre. I combine Missandei and Melisandre to make Melisandei.
So many people have like similar names, like Sir Alistair, and then I get that name, and Sir Barristan and Davos for some reason. Like all of them, they're just like old white men.
Men.
I get them all mixed up.
Well, even like Sansa and Cersei, like they're not the same, but like they start out a little bit the same. I don't know. You know, just when you're making up names, you should not have names that overlap like really at all.
Like Bronn and Bran.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. And okay, George R. R. Martin, you couldn't think of anything else to name a dragon except for Drogon.
Yeah.
Like, what if I had, like, a dog and I named him Doug? Or, like, a cat and I named it Cot? Or, like, a cow and I named it Cat? Like, what is that?
Speaking of John and his being drawn to gingers, I love him in Tormund's allyship.
I love him so much.
Yeah.
And I especially love later on, too, when, like, he interacts with Brienne.
Yeah.
I just love him. I think he's so good in this season, too, when then he's talking with the wildlings and, like, he's really trying to get them onto their side. Like, he's just such a good person to go and persuade them with. And I really enjoy his character.
Yeah, I think episode 7 is just so powerful. Like, when they go back to the other side of the wall to try to negotiate with the wildlings, connection between the two of them only gets stronger than that, like, brotherhood between them. Like, they represent the wildlings and the people on the other side of the wall, like, coming together. And being allies. So I really like that. Do we want to talk about episode 7, like the latter half of it, when it's fully just about John and the wildlings and the walkers? Yeah.
Sure, we can get into it. Great battle episode.
Yeah.
It just does so much. So I guess run down the list of everything that this one single battle sequence does. It's a great battle. It shows the true scale of the army of the dead, introduces the Night King, shows how they continue to grow their army, brings the Night's Watch and the wildlings together, and shows that they can be killed with Valyrian steel. That's like 6 huge things that are accomplished in one single battle sequence.
Yeah, and like the delivery of all of this information is so well done. I think it's interesting the choice to incorporate this and like bring about this new character with the wildling mom and her 2 daughters, and how she's kind of the first one to be like, I am going to agree with John and Tormund and like stand up to the Thenn wildling and be like, we have to do this. Just that like small little arc that character is introduced at the end of episode 7 and she is dead by the end of the episode. But I think that storyline is so important to this sequence because it's like, it really does make us feel when she like puts her kids on that boat and then like her being that person that's like, get on that fucking boat, John, because you need to make sure that these people get through the wall because without you, they're not going to let you. Like, I don't think without that woman, that character, John would not have gotten back on the boats because he would have been too honorable to do so. But I think her like logic in that moment is so spot on.
And it's true, they would never have opened the gates.
They barely do. They almost didn't.
Also, her ultimate downfall being like the kid White Walkers too.
Yeah. Oof, that's hard to watch. But
or if you and I saw them, we'd be like, fuck them kids.
Yeah, I'd be like, ew, bye. running faster away.
Busted. Crusty.
But yeah, I think the CGI, like with the White Walkers, it's scary. And it's like also all the wildlings like running towards the wall and them like closing it and just having to close it on those people is hard to watch. Yeah, it's just scary. And the introduction, not the introduction, but like seeing the scale of the White Walker army and then like the head White Walkers and how they're just like smashing steel, like shattering steel swords is crazy. And then the shock on that one White Walker's face when John, his sword like clashes with his. Love it.
So good. That's such an amazing moment when that happens. And then when John slashes him down and he just like freezes for that moment in battle. Because it's like the breath in the battle, which I love. I love how battle sequences are done when they have like ebbs and flows of like insane fighting to then like taking a breath. And like this was really like a pause in it. And his like final little like pose too. It's so good. It
is a little funny that they just can't swim. Like that's where the White Walkers like can't do it. They are literally like falling over a wall and then just like piling on top of each other until they like break each other's fall and then they rise from the dead again and keep going. But like water,
no,
can't do it.
I wonder why that is. I'm sure like they have to have an explanation for that, or if it was just because like let them get away and like taunt them, unless if that's how they would explain it away. Maybe it's because like some of them are only bones and like how can bones swim? You know, if you don't have anything to like hold it in.
It's just like they're such like a looming presence. Yeah. I don't know.
I think the scary thing too in this episode, not even just realizing the scale of the army, but that nothing slows them down.
Mhm.
You know, like like you said, they will launch themselves off of a cliff.
Mhm.
No questions asked. They have no logic. Like, you know, they aren't scared of anything where like common men are. Like, they're gonna obviously have some fears. And that's both like an advantage for real people that you do have that sense of fear, because that like does help you out, but you also lacking that is an advantage for White Walkers because they have nothing to fear. They don't care about charging over, under, scraping their backs across a gate because they have no skin to get off of them.
Right.
You know, they have like no sense of self-preservation whatsoever. So they're just gonna do what they're told to do.
It's scary, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like the apocalypse, and I think it's cool that they're finally well, not cool, but it's interesting to hear Jon finally acknowledging like this is the end of the world unless we do something about it.
One just other thing that I love about this battle is I love the giant. I love him.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, get off me.
When he's like just batting him off himself. I love him.
I forgot if he like made it out or not, so I was really happy when he just like made it out. But yeah, I think the incorporation of the giant is really cool, and it's like, oh god, what if these White Walkers get a hold of him and then they eventually get a fucking dragon?
Oh my god, I remember when they get the dragon.
Scary.
And he does turn into a White Walker.
Seeing the one when they're like going after the dragon glass, when that one White Walker is like literally putting out fire just by like walking through it, like the fire won't burn him. It's like even fucking Daenerys and her dragons might not be able to like get rid of these fucks. So what's the plan, babes? Like
that's interesting. Who was doing that? Was that one of the like
Sorry,
Night Kings that was doing that?
Yeah, it was one of like the
okay.
powerful ones.
Okay, because that just made me think of in the Long Night. You know, they light that trench of fire so that they can't get past.
Yeah, I think some of them are way more powerful than other ones.
But yeah, if it's like the regular ass White Walkers, then that makes sense that they can't do that because the ones obviously. So how did you get to be in the position of power that you do in the White Walker society? I would like to interview these men.
I think Bran figures that out, but it's like not well delivered. Yeah, he finds out that those like fairy children like created the White Walkers. I don't know. It's dumb. Like there's so much potential for Bran to just like discover all the secrets of this world, and it's so boring and so bland and not well delivered at all. And not like mind blowing like it could be. So fuck that.
Because Bran is a flop.
He's a flop. Okay, I have a controversial question for you. So we talk a lot about how we say let dead people die on this show quite frequently. So how are we feeling about Jon Snow? We know that he gets resurrected. Spoiler alert, if you are listening to this podcast and not rewatching the show and it's your first time watching the show, sorry about it. But you should know that this is a rewatch coverage. And Cooper is so cute right now. Do you think that this show would have been better if Jon just died?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I have a multitude of reasons. One, I think otherwise Sam going to go become a maester, which ultimately finds out that Jon is a Targaryen, which then ultimately leads to in the Long Night when he's riding a dragon alongside Dany. We need him for that. The Wildlings and Night Watch Alliance would be no more without Jon, so that would be a wash. True. Them even like bringing the White Walkers and like the severity of the White Walkers. If we have no Jon, we don't have that urgency because I really don't think the Night's Watchmen, like whatever the one dude who like leads the kill on Jon, he would have never like gone and tried to track down Cersei and Dany and all of these leaders across everywhere. And I don't think his death would have been purposeful. Like True. I like deaths with purpose, and I think this one would have been for shock value, which I think it is. Obviously it's like shocking, and I do actually like that the men do this and that they do kill him, and that especially Ollie doing that at the end, like that's rough to see. So I do actually like that they do this because obviously there's been so much contention between Jon and these men, but his story was not done as of this point, and I really, really don't think the show would have benefited from killing him. Do you think it would have?
No, I think I just don't like the fact. I like that he's a Targaryen, but I don't like that him and Dany kiss. I agree with you. What you just said, I agree that his story isn't done, and it was done. I remember when Jon Snow died. I wasn't even like watching the show at that point, but I remember the uproar on social media at the time and just in pop culture at large large, like how big of an influence that had. Like they did it for that reason, for the shock value, and then they obviously brought him back because, like you said, if he would have died, this whole past season would have been for nothing because he did all that work to get the wildlings on the other side, and then he does play an integral role in like getting Dany's focus on to killing the White Walkers.
And I even think then, like, his reunion with Sansa, like, then what would have happened next season, and his part, obviously, in the 8th season, and even just in, like, the political situations that are yet to unfold. And also, I think Lord of Light, like, again, we need to be reminded that the Lord of Light can bring people back.
True. All exciting things for season 6.
I know, I can't wait to start it. I'm very excited. I wanted to, like, start it immediately after I finished the finale, and I'm so glad that we never had to sit on this cliffhanger of a season, because that would have been rough. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to season 6. It has literally my favorite episode of all time in it, and I'm so fucking excited to rewatch it. Ugh, I'm just very excited for things to come in season 6.
Y'all, so next week, we are going to be talking about the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We know we're a little late getting to that, but we just kind of have to do an episode because I'm going to be on vacation, as I said, so we need to just record something, and that is something that we've both watched and talked about. So yeah, we're gonna be coming at you with an episode about the end of Kenobi next week, and then after that we'll be talking about season 6.
Hell yeah.
Summer is just flying by. Summer's going by so fast, and it's going to continue to do so. Things are getting super busy. I know for you as well. You have a lot of stuff going on. I feel like you're in, 5 book clubs? How many book clubs are you in?
A lot of fucking book clubs. I feel like every single night I have something. I literally have something every single night.
Look at this. Look at this sweet.
Oh my god, his little ears.
Is that your favorite spot?
That's so cute. Oh my god, the kitties are sharing a windowsill.
Oh, all the pets are being so cute.
We'll catch ya next week, everyone.
Yay, Lila.